no boss Satani. It's Star FM sounding good all the time. It's the Morning Galaxy. We get into mental health matters where we talk all things to do with your mental health. With Tendai Anna Phiri, she's a marriage and family therapist, a grief counselor, mental health and addiction counselor, and an author. We are looking at stress management in a relationship where the wife is empowered, because it has been said, men are not taught how to deal with an empowered woman. And I guess I'm really interested to actually dive into it. Empowerment in relationships. Tendai, good morning. How are you?
How are you?
I'm fantastic. How's the start to your week?
I'm really looking forward to this topic, Vikendi, because it came from our listeners. Hands mutara zvinhu stress ka. Hamusunyatsobata stress chaiyo yatinayo. So I'm really looking forward to this topic.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So what does it mean for a woman to be empowered in a relationship?
All right. Thank you very much, Vikendi, for that. So I'll start. Let me start with empowered, right? So when a woman is empowered, Vikendi, it's about 5 components, right? The first component is that she has to feel her self-worthiness. Because mukadzi anongozvitarisira pasi angoti aisi vakadzi arege varume vaita aisi vakadzi. Saka iwewe pachako mudzimai, how do you see yourself, your self-esteem, right? And then your self-perception. Unombozviona semunhu akaita sei. And then the second one, it's the right to have and determine my choices. And you don't choose. And then it's also the right to have access to opportunities and resources. Tombotora kudhara weekend pamusha Maria iti yakaita shoma aenda kuchikoro ndiani. And then aendeswa kuchikoro vakomana zvenzi mwana musikana acharorwa handiti.
Yes.
Saka fees would go ikoko. And then my resources chaiwo ngatimbotorei chero patingi tingori anyway you try kuti madzimai ndo vaizopiwa secondarily kana zvinhu zvasaririra, but the first preference will be given to kune varume. So we are talking of empowerment yekuti munhu wese has their right to have access to opportunities and resources. That's number 3, Weekend. Number 4, it's the right to have power and control over their own lives, both within the home and outside the home. Outside the home, that includes even kumabasa as well, right? And then 5thly, the ability to influence the direction of societal change and create a more just social and economic order. So those are the 5 things. Let me put more flesh to that. Up to your question, when a woman is empowered in a relationship. When a woman is empowered in a relationship, Vikendi, it means that she feels respected. 1, 2, she feels valued. And then she feels supported. Aru support in expressing her needs, her desires, and her boundaries. So it involves a sense of agency, autonomy, and equality within the relationship, where her voice is heard, her opinions are respected, and her well-being is prioritized. So there's open communication in this relationship. Kana trukuti a woman is empowered in a relationship. There is open communication. Right. My needs in that relationship, they are legitimate. Right. There is respect for boundaries. There is also equal partnership. There is support for personal growth and shared responsibilities. Can I go on, Weekend?
Yes.
There is emotional support. Emotional support. I think most of my problems are critical. This is missing. Emotional support, validation, and encouragement from their partner. This is missing in most relationships. But she's empowered in a relationship. Emotional support is there. It's not just physical support, but emotional support as well. Then respect for autonomy. What do we mean by this? We mean that a woman earns freedom to make my independent choices, pursue her own interests, and maintain her individual identity within the relationship. So they are respected for their autonomy and encouraged to be true to themselves. And then also, what do we mean kana kuti mudzimai is empowered in a relationship? Conflict resolution, ma conflicts anonyatsokuhandlwa zvakanaka. Chatofanira kuziva masikirwo atikota naMwari, we all have legitimate needs. The needs of mudzimai are legitimate and they need to be met in a relationship. The needs emurume, they are also legitimate and they also need to be met in this relationship for it kuti titi mudzimai is empowered. Maybe if we can tinyatsokunzwisisa anditi the difference between the empowerment that we're talking about and traditionally kuti zvakamhenge zvakaita sei zviri kuzounza akastress. So you find kuti women empowerment inogona kuconflict. It's often conflicta our traditional culture and gender roles atakagara takabatisisa kwaari. So you find kuti izvozvo kazhinji pamwe ndo zviri kuzokonzeresa kuti paite clash, toita stress irutererwa yakakumbirwa nemalisteners edu kuti aiwa ndatitaurei about stress iripo kana uri murelationship nean empowered woman. So panotanga education and career pursuit. In tradition culture, mudzimai, they were not expected kuti vakoshese chikoro necareer. Priority was marriage and motherhood over education and career. So wakangodzidza wakagona kunyora zvapera wechimirira kuita sei kuroorwa. But we seeing kuti izvozvo izvi mazuva zvaita sei zvachinja. Madzimai ari kuenda kuchikora handiti maclasses evanhu varikuita masters mune madzimaiwo handiti ma-leadership positions mune madzimaiwo. So you find that's generally against culture zvazvazvo zvakaita kudhara. And maybe because pamwe that meaning now yaitwa engraved in us, if you're in a relationship now with a woman who is going against zviriko kudhara, you find kuti stress inouya because zviri kunetsa. Your place is in the home, now you want to be at work, saka stress yakuya. Ipapo ndangobatsira somebody weekend, when we look at the meaning of helper comparable, when you look at Genesis chapter 2:18, it will talk about helper comparable. And Genesis 2:18, pane maplates aisukwa here. Pane maplates aisukwa when God gave Eve to Adam. Pane maplates aisukwa. Pane vana vaichengetwa here. Pane chikafu chaibikwa here.
No.
Pamba nehembe dzaiwachwa. Pamba nelaundry.
No.
Pamba neimba yaitsvairwa here. What other responsibilities do we give kune madzimai? When you look at all my household chores iwayo, they were not there. So what did God mean? Paiti mdzimai helper comparable. When you go back to the original word, the Hebrew, it's Eza, kinegdo. Eza, E-Z-E-R. Kinegdo. It means rescuer. So problem yatirikuona ndekuti tradition yedu weekend yaingoti varume vese vakafanana. Varume vese vane mapersonalities akafanana. Madzimai ese ane personality yakaita sei futi yakafanana. But according to the word of God, we are all created differently. God created us with different qualities, with different... It's God's way of creating variety. So ongot meaning yemudzimai, it's rescuer. So you rescue your husband, your partner, where he is lacking. You marry somebody who has what you lack. And and then, so you complement each other. Again, that word ezakinegdo, it means protector. That word, it means warrior. Right? Saka inini rondimereresa zvangu rinondityisa, it means savior as well. So you find it ndopari kuconflicta empowerment and culture. Because culture, when we take, and unfortunately for the Christians, you find it, we take my Bible verses are aligned to our culture, to atasimbisisa, and we put my blinkers on the whole Bible. Ko kana munhu ari different ari situation yakadai so zvinodilika sei nazvo. And then so that's the first one. And then number 2, decision making and autonomy. You find kuti culturally mudzimai haifanirwa kuita madecisions, aifanirwa kungoteerera zvataurwa nemurume wake, and which is being challenged these days, because you find naturally says when I thought we have my different personalities. Pamwe this woman, she's a born leader, choleric, she's very mahari, she's ambitious, she's goal oriented. You find most of the times they marry ma phlegmatics who don't have any goals, who are peaceful, who are kind, who are diplomatic, who are fearful of change, who have insecurities. And culture is saying every man is a visionary. whereas your husband is not a visionary. Saka now problem yakuti zvautonge mukadzi ada kutonga stereki, but we are not hatisi kunzwisisana as individuals kuti inini ndakambomira sei, what are my strengths, what are my weaknesses. Mudzimai haasi kunzwisisa kuti what are her strengths, what are her weaknesses, and how do we complement each other. So an example biblically, ndoda kuisa biblical examples so that at least lose a context yedu. We have an example in the Bible of Abigail ari pana 1 Samuel chapter 20:25. Her husband anonzi Nabal, he was mean, he was cruel, akanyima David nevarwi chikafu, and David was coming after this family to destroy it. So Abigail akaita zviri against, she was an empowered woman anditi who did zviri against culture yavo, even our culture muno muZimbabwe, right? Murume kana ati pamusha panapa pari kunzwa iso, you'd find culturally says mukadzi you don't go against that andizvo. But when a woman is empowered, just like what Abigail akaita, akanoti what can I do to save this family, akaita decision, akatora chikafu akaenda. She was humble ari pamberi paDavid, she humbled herself. So that's also another tip for madzimai ari empowered. It doesn't mean kuti when you're empowered ibva waita kuve bossy controlling. Be humble, be humble in your being an empowered woman. Be humble. Kusvika David atoti I like your spirit, I like the spirit in you. Kuri kuti munhu angari humble, munhu angari peaceful, but kusvikira yes varoti because of you waita hako wakangwara, you are intelligent. She was a wise woman. So even in our empowerment we don't have to be masculine, we still women, we do it in a way iri humble, right? Like what Abigail did, and she saved her family. So it means when we're talking of women empowerment, you can make decisions.
And David akazotora baby rash
akatozopedzera aritora akatora mukadzi akangwara
wife material.
Exactly. But if imagine in our society, maybe this is where our stress is coming from, because pandiri kuona kuti ndiri kubatsirwa pamwe ndatadza kufunga, ndobva ndafunga ndatongwa, whereas pamwe handira kutongwa. And then so thirdly, right, we want to look at marriage and family expectations. You find with culture, we comparing culture and empowerment. Kuti ma problems edari kumbobva kupi. Exactly. So culture says that mudzimai's place is in the home and she must be obedient to her husband. Haabvunze because I said so. Handiti ndiri musoro wemba. Tatatora ma Bible verses ano support that. A wife's place is in caregiving, right? Kunevana adherence to cultural norms, and mudzimai haatotenderwi to advocate even for equality. Munoziva kudhara weekend I remember ndichikura waiona mai vanenge vakapfeka matomi tugurumwe tudiki twakabuda panze utwo nejuzi vakangosauka baba vakarova 3-piece suit yavo. Ufunga kuti zviri kufamba sei mazuva atanga maselfone aye masmartphone. Mai vainge vane kambudzi kavo, baba ndo vanenge vane smartphone. It was like zvinhu zvakanaka ndo zvana baba, but zvinenge zviri secondarily ndo zvana. That was culture. Yeah, right. There was no mutual respect. You find it when we're talking of respect, respect it's only for men, right? Culturally, you find it respect is only for men. Madzimaiwo, when it comes to respect, and shared responsibility within the relationship, and we find zvainetsa kuti mai mamwe maenda kumunda madzoka baba vanenge vazorora mai pamwe ndo vaakubika ndo vaakudi. So responsibility was not shared, whereas empowerment mazwana. So maybe this is also where our stress is coming from. It was no, let's share my responsibilities. Ndobatsira somebody maybe we're struggling with respect. When we look at the word of God, Ephesians chapter 5 verse 21, respect each other out of reverence for Christ. So from Ephesians 21 weekend, respect irichi, it's mutual.
Yeah.
How about culture? What does tradition say? Respect inongonzi ndemurume chete. Maybe this is where we are missing it. And then we go and quote rightfully sezvawaitaura weekend Ephesians chapter 5 verse 22 to 24. Ndopatomhanya kunomikura anditi wives be submissive to your husbands. But from verse 22 to verse 24, the Bible is showing us how women are supposed to be submissive to their husbands, how they respect their husbands. veti pabenchmark is unto Christ, and to own husband is unto Christ. Saka tine benchmark. Christ akatiti do this, Christ akatiti do this. We do it without complaining. So that's the same. This is what we are supposed to be doing. Madzimai, in spite of being empowered. And then what I think is the missing link, Vikendi, iri kukonzeresa stress yakawandisa in our society is verse 25 to verse 33. Yes, yakatoreba for the man. Respect is mutual according to the word of God. And Ephesians 5 verse 21, respect each other or submit one to another out of reverence for Christ. How are men supposed to be submissive to their wives even though they are empowered? Verse 25 to verse 33. Verse 25 talks about the man loving his wife sacrificially. Pane benchmark as well. The wife has a benchmark. The men also have a benchmark in that they have to do it and then verse 26, you sanctify her and make her holy. Men are the ones who sanctify the wives and make them holy. How? Right? They wash them with the word. Right? Says Vanita, I always ask men, good, how many times do you want your wife to ageze per day? Vamwe 3 times a day. Vamwe ngagare mvura. Vamwe 2 times a day. Rarely do you hear varumashing ngagezeka 1 per day. That's physical. Washing the body physically. How about spiritual? Because we are both spiritual beings and physical beings. My physical body, gezwa nemvura, right? 2-3 times a day. But how about my spiritual? My spiritual, gezwa nemrumu, which is the missing link. So tradition inongonobata kuti mukadzi ngaite submit, but haibatewo kuti murume ngaite submit. Ndosaka takuzoita problem when it comes to empowerment, because mukadzi ada ku respect wawo and murume doesn't know how. But you find mukadzi anodiwa weekend. Mukadzi anoverengerwa shoko raMwari every day. We sanctified with it's automatic for them to respect. And then the other one, parku clash foot empowerment and tradition. Pandufunza weekend kuti ndo parku konzeresa even imwe stress yedu our reproductive rights and bodily autonomy. So culture mudzimai airorerwa musha anditi maitoita maitobatsirana mese, and she was controlled by society, she was controlled by the family expectations. Now comes empowerment. You find kuti hakuna restrictions iwayo on reproductive rights and body autonomy. Mdzimai anototi ndoda vana 2 chete, and she stands by that in spite of kuti society iri kuti kudii, in spite of culture kuti iri kuti kudii. And we find that madzimai now they have access to family planning and reproductive health care, which actually can be a backslash to my traditional communities. So mudzimai has the right to choose when to have children and whether to have the children, which wasn't there during time ye tradition. So zvakawanda vikendi, when we're looking even at societal status and leadership roles, it wasn't like that in culture. But in the Bible we have Deborah. She was also the judge. We have Queen Esther who saved her people. So empowerment, even in those leadership positions. This is why even umabasa we have those. And then violence and discrimination. Culture zvita condone. This is why even when it comes to counseling, you don't understand the culture well. Because when we are not domestic violence, culture and that culture, is it good or is it bad? So now comes empowerment. Such things. So overally, those clashes that were there between tradition and empowerment.
And we are really running out of time, but the next week we continue stress management in a relationship where the wife is empowered.
Yes.
And I can't wait to really dive into next week's episode. Tonight, for those who want to get in touch with you.
Those that want to get in touch with me, those at least who are in that situation weekend. Because some situation you please contact me on 0772 781 209. Both men and women Gava contributed so that at least our discussion is meaningful. 0772 781 209.
Tendai, thank you so much for your time. Star FM, I am V Candy. Tomorrow belongs to God. Taking our time to 12 midday. It is time for Now Indaba.